Welcome back to GEM Moving for Health. This segment we're going to work again on the spinal column on the floor, and if this works for you, fine. If not, this may not be an exercise that you can do if getting down onto the floor in the table position. But if it does work for you, it's really an excellent, delicious opportunity to work the spine, work out the kinks. So we find ourselves on the floor then with hands under the shoulders and knees under the hips. And I like to do a little circling of the elbows again, just to work out any kinks in the shoulder and the elbows. And then become aware, well, I've got a kink in the shoulder. I have to work that out a little bit. And I'll tell you, this body, which is approaching its 8th decade, needs a little bit of lubing from time to time. Okay. Peter? Okay. So, in this position, again, be conscious of the extension of the spine from the tailbone all the way out through the head, as flat a back as you can do. And I don't often look at myself in the mirror, but when I do, I know my back isn't very flat. So it's the intention of having a flat, extended back and flat spine. Okay, so now imagine a hula hoop around the hips, and just gently begin to circle the hips. And here you get an opportunity in one direction and then the other. You get an opportunity to move the hips in a slightly different way than we did standing, and you really get a delicious massaging into the hip area, into the abdomen, even into the inner organs, breathing and releasing, working the spine. As the spine becomes more loose and relaxed, then move the hula hoop up to the center of the body. So you really are centering and circling from the lower rib cage. Circling, raising the body and circling it in one direction, raising and circling in the other, and really working out the kinks as you do it. And then working into the shoulders, rolling the shoulders, working out the rib cage, the spine, the shoulders, breathing and relaxing. And then the spine curving up and curving down, curling upwards and then curling the opposite direction. So kind of a snake-like movement, working through the spine, strengthening, stretching the spinal column. And then a really good stretch, raising fully up into the cat position or cat stretch, and then leading with the chin, and for this I tend to fall back a little bit on my haunches, leading with the chin down and up. And start doing that as a circular motion, down and up, and then reversing, and down onto your elbows and down and up. It really is a delicious stretch and working out of kinks in the spinal column, strengthening that spinal column. And then coming back into the table position, breathing and relaxing. And then releasing the head down, letting go of all of the tension in the neck and the head, just letting it hang, releasing, and then begin gentle circling of the head, one direction then the other, only as far as is comfortable for you today, releasing and stretching the muscles in the neck, breathing and relaxing. And then extending the head again, so it's a flat back, flat spine, relatively speaking. And then as if the left ear could touch the left hip, just a lateral stretch like this, and then back to center. And right ear to right hip, lateral stretch. Repeat that a couple of times, really getting that workout. So we've been working out like this, and we worked with the head like this, and now we're working back and forth with the spine. Full stretching of the spinal column. And now working towards a stretch that is, or a position that is moving towards the frog. Mine is a very crippled frog, but so you extend the knees out, slide them out as far as is comfortable, splay the feet out like this, and then come down onto your elbows, and gently work and release in the hip. Now, if I were flexible, my knees would go way out and I'd flatten this lower pelvis, but that isn't the case, so you just work with what you've got. And if your body doesn't go this far, that's fine. Whatever your body is willing to do, take small steps in increasing flexibility, lubrication, vitality in the joint. Breathing and releasing. And then coming back to the table position, and hands below shoulders, knees below hips, and a little stretch and balance. So right arm out, left leg out. So you've got a good stretch and balance, the full length of the body. Feel that stretching. And then reverse. Now it's the left arm out and the right leg out. Stretching. And repeat that a couple of times as is comfortable for you. And notice the good work you're getting on balancing as well. Okay. And now another stretch in this position and balancing, which may be more than you're up for, but I'll offer it to you as a possibility. And in this one, you come up to your toes like this, and on your hands, relatively flat back, and then just roll over to the right arm and hand. So you're balancing here. For increased balance, you can extend your feet apart slightly. I generally tend to do it foot on foot. And then gently raising, and we'll see if I can do it today while I'm talking, raising the head up, and then the head upwards, breathing and relaxing and stretching. And then bringing the hand back down, rolling back to the other side, and now reversing this on the other side, gradually rolling the body, keeping this a triangle here, as straight as possible, and then lifting the right arm when you find the balance point, lifting it up, and then eventually raising the head or turning the head and looking upward, stretching, breathing, relaxing. And then bringing it down. And now instead of push-ups, a thing that I like to do, it's release down, because what happens is you really work the full extent of the muscles. If, keeping the back flat, you very slowly release down, as slowly as is comfortable for you today. Releasing the body down, and you really feel the working of the full length of the muscles. Breathing, relaxing. And now, stretching out the arms, releasing the head, and release the entire body. Nothing you have to support, just let it melt into the floor. Relax and breathe. And then to balance the stretching, that's something I haven't stressed as much as I should, that it's a key thing in yoga, that for every stretch you try to do a counter stretch to keep the body balanced. So now moving the head to the other side and stretching the neck in the stretch. And now gently raising the knee to the side, another opportunity for me to work on my hips. Breathing and relaxing and straightening the leg. And back to this side again. And raising the hip, inviting it to flatten, inviting the pelvis to flatten out on the ground. Breathing and relaxing. And then bringing the legs together again. And now hands to the side and gently work on raising the upper torso. Again, this is tightening the abdominal muscles and the lower, and pushing, rather tightening the lower back and pushing into the abdomen as you gently lift. And start very slowly. If your body doesn't want to do this, then don't do it. Pay careful attention to your back, what it's willing to do. And then repeat this. If it becomes more flexible and more relaxed, you can raise the torso a little bit more. And I like to repeat this about 15 times or so. You do what is comfortable for you to do. Breathing and relaxing. And then interlacing the fingers, bringing them underneath your head so that you don't have your nose hitting the floor, and roll out the spine. This is, I find, a very delicious movement. Rolling out the rib cage and the spinal column all the way down into the legs, working out any tension or holding. And now we repeat the leg lifts, but this time from the front position. So gently lifting the left leg and pause there. and then lifting the right leg and pause. And again, how far you do the lift and how often you do the lift depends upon what your body says is right for you. Personally, I like to work towards about 15 lifts on each side, breathing and relaxing, breathing and relaxing. And again, working out the whole spinal column. And finally, the final move in this position is moving towards the frog in the yoga, the locust rather, in yoga. And what this amounts to is lifting the lower torso. And be very careful about this to see whether your lower back is ready for this or not. But just test it out. See if pushing your hands against the ground, you can just begin to lift the legs and the lower torso. Lift and release. Lift and release. And if your back is up for it, you can lift a little more further up into the locust position. And then, I can't hold it for long, releasing down, breathing and relaxing. Head to the side and just release into the floor. Enjoy the sensations, the vitality of having moved these various parts of the body, having worked the spinal column, breathing and releasing. And that brings to a conclusion, and I'll move slowly back to a seated position. That brings to a conclusion this segment of the spinal column and lower back from the table position. And the next segment, we'll have a brief segment on chair positions, postures you can do in the chair. We've talked about some of that already, but I want to clarify that just a little bit. So come back and let's keep moving.